Welcome back. Today I've got something pretty special planned. At least I hope so. My buddy Rich Bennett, the Beard Time 16, sent me this beautiful piece of Cocobolo cutoff. That Cocobolo bowl that he turned, or platter. Actually what I'll do is I'll put a link to that video right there. And this was too big for his lathe, so he had to cut some of it out. And he said, well, what should I do with it? I said, send it to me, I'll do something with it. So what am I going to do with this Cocobolo ring that's about 2 inches thick, a little over 2 inches? Well, I'm going to attempt to make a bowl using this and some resin and this river looking piece. Actually it's 2 pieces that my buddy Doug at Pohl Barn Productions, link up here, he sent this to me, and it fits nearly perfectly inside here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stagger these layers so that I can get a little bit deeper bowl out of it. And in between all the wood, I'm going to create dams on the outside and fill it with colored resin. How's it going to look? I don't have a clue. It may blow up, but I'm hoping not. I'm hoping to come up with a rather unique and successful looking piece between this Cocobolo and this walnut and the resin. So come along with me and let's see what happens. But first, it's time for another sticker swap. This one from Wayne, Bigfoot Woodcraft. Another guy from the UK. Wayne's a good dude. Alright. Wayne, we'll put you right up here by Nick. Put a link up here. Go check Wayne out, give him some love. Thanks, Wayne, I appreciate it, dude. Oh, what's that? Oh, you like my shirt? Yeah. Go to this guy's site and you can order one. Got another sticker. Adamsen Woodcraft. David Adamsen, good guy. Talented turner. Again, I'll put a link up here. Alright, David, I'll get you one in the mail. Thanks. Cocobolo is very, very oily. So what I did was I wiped this down with acetone where I'm going to have to glue this back together. That way I ensure I get a good glue joint. And I've left it long enough to flash off. Acetone flashes very, very quickly. Now I'll let that set to dry and come back and start gluing the rest of it up. There was also a cut in this one that I'm going to glue up as well. It's going to need to be filled with some resin, and I could have just used that instead, and we'll leave that set up as well. This needs to be on the inside. I'm going to fill this hole with colored resin. I think Doug was planning on making this the bottom, I'm not sure. But I don't want it to be the bottom. I want you to be able to see this natural edge. If I had it like that, you wouldn't see it. So I'm going to fill that after I get it mounted, but I need a way to mount this to the lathe so I can actually work on the piece once it's together. So I turned this flat, drilled me a hole, put a dowel in it, turned it down to fit here, So now what I'm going to do, and it fits nicely, I'm going to bring up my tailstock with a soft touch in it. To make sure I'm applying pressure all the way around, equal pressure. Now, when my hot glue gun comes to temperature, I will hot glue this on here, on the back side of this. Hot glue because it'll come off easily. Once it's on, I'm going to make sure this is true, and then I will epoxy a glue block back here and turn a tenon on it, and then I will turn this using the tenon. Okay, you can see this right here in the middle is running really nice and true. It's really centered, but it's a little bit off over here, and I'm really not sure. That walnut may have moved, or I don't know, because he did this on his circle cutting jig. It should be true, but oh well, it is what it is, like he says. Okay, all the bandsaw blade marks are off, which is what I wanted. Just enough room around there for a little bit of resin, and that's what I wanted. So now, and I think I want this about halfway. That way I can make a nice transition and not lose it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat my glue gun up and run me a dam that I can set this on. What I have to do is epoxy a proper glue block to here and turn a tenon on it. So I'll rough this up a little bit and then epoxy a glue block on it. Because this is going to be here, not here. It's going to be here. Okay, got some 30-minute epoxy. I'll mix this up. Smear it around good. And then clamp it up. Now I will let this set overnight because I do not want this to fail. I'm going to run a bead of hot glue at the midway point, and I'm going to lay it down pretty heavy because I'm going to use this as a dam. Now, even though I'm putting it at the halfway point and I'm spreading it over, what I intend to do is use my parting tool, because I don't have a good clear line there and I want a good clear line for my resin. So I'm going to use my parting tool and cut a clear line in this after it's cured for quite a while. It's probably going to take quite a bit of hot glue, but that's okay. This stuff is inexpensive. I've got a pretty good bead on here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this, it's already started to cure up in places, so I'm going to let this harden up some more, and then I will cut because the ring is going to go on this side, I'll cut my groove, or not my groove, but my straight line for my dam, and then I will hot glue that ring in place. Okay, it's dry enough. Let's see what we got. I want my line right there. That should work. Okay, I know this is gonna be a little hard to see, but I'm gonna put a couple of spots of glue around this to secure it enough so that I can turn it over and it won't pop through. It'll just sit there and then I can finish gluing. All right, I'll let that cure up for a few minutes before I flip it, just to make sure it gets solid enough. Okay, I turned it over. Now I can finish gluing this up. I want to make sure I get good seams all the way around because I don't want any resin leaking out. We'll let that set up, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. Make sure I get a good seal. Now, like I did on the other ring, I'm going to run a bead right here. So now I'm going to let that set and cure for a good 15 or 20 minutes. And then I will cut a flat spot in it like I did this one. And then I can glue the next ring on, hot glue it. And then when I pour my resin, I can just do both pours at the same time. Okay, it's been long enough. Now I'm going to cut me a flat so that I've got a flat bottom to my resin. Now I'll take it to the bench and set the big ring on it, just like I did the other one, and glue it down in a couple of places so that it'll hold when I turn it upside down and seal it. Now I'm lining up the grain to go the same as the walnut and checking my spacing because I want the thickness of the resin to be as uniform as possible without using a lot of meticulous measuring tools to do so. So I'm using my calibrated eyes balls, and that looks pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Boys and girls, that ain't bad. That ain't bad. I just want a good seal here. You know, not one of them circus seals, but now I'll let that set for 10-15 minutes and harden up so that it'll support the weight of this thing turned upside down, and I will finish sealing this. Then we will mix up the resin. I want a good glue down because I don't want any leakies. I'll let this set and harden up for another 10 minutes or so, and then I'll get to mixing some resin. All right, I think I'm going to start with about 300 grams of resin. I may need more than that before it's all said and done. We'll see. So about 200 of part A, and I can already tell that's not going to be near enough. So, okay, there's 1,000 grams of part A. And I need 500 grams of part B. That still I don't think is going to be enough, but like I said, I don't think this is going to be enough. But we're going to give it the old college try nonetheless. What do you think about that, huh? Yes, I get silly out here by myself in the shop, making a mess in the messy studio. I was going to try to match this color as exact as I could. There's only one problem. I don't have any clear blues. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just put in a drop or two right now and hope that makes it clear enough. Well, I know it's going to be translucent. That's not an issue because I didn't use a whole lot. When it's all said and done, this may be pretty close. That one is poured. Now let's try the outside one and see what we got. Okay, now get some of those bubbles out with my heat gun. Turns out I had just about exactly enough resin, so I'm happy about that. I think the color match is going to be pretty close. It looks good inside, no more air bubbles to pop. So now we let this sit and cure, and hopefully tomorrow it'll be cured enough for me to start turning this and make this into some semblance of a bowl. Okay, the resin is cured, but it's, as you can see from my fingernail leaving holes or dents in it, it's not cured enough or dry enough to turn yet. So I'm just gonna have to wait. When this is hard enough to turn, then I'll get back to it. But I think it's gonna look pretty cool. Okay, I got all the hot glue out. Made me a tape dam and filled the back with blue resin, and we'll see where we go. Okay, face shield. I want to turn this fast enough to cut, but I don't want to risk blowing it up either. And this is going to be impossible. I brought a soft touch up just to help secure it. See, that's about as thin as I want to go. I don't know if I told you, but I'm turning about 600 RPM. Well, we're way thin right there. I'm scared. Now I get these ridges out. The rest of this I think will sand down on the inside. Well, that hit me right in the face shield. All right, let me see what I can find left of this thing. See this glue joint right here? Remember, I had to glue this back together, and I prepped this by cleaning Cocobolo with acetone. Cocobolo is very, very oily, and if you don't clean that oil off before you glue it, you're gonna have a failed glue joint. Well, guess what? I cleaned it with acetone, and I still had a failed glue joint. What happened was, when I was working on this, cleaning this last little bit of edge up, the gouge caught the seam of this glue joint and ripped this off. This hit me in the face shield and flew over and knocked my tablet over. It's thankfully it's in one piece, but you heard the harmonics. That's what happens when you get a thin rim. Now the real question here is, how am I gonna fix this? Well, I'm not gonna try to use Titebond. That much is certain. I will clean this up best I can, acetone it real well, and then I'm probably going to, all right, I'm gonna mix me up some epoxy and see if we can't glue Humpty back together. Okay, I cleaned all of this up best I could. I've got the spindle locked in place. This is right back where it was. Mix some of this Cocobolo dust up in the remnants of this epoxy and fill it in there. The only reason I'm putting this tape on is to protect my ratchet strap from the epoxy, because I'm gonna use my ratchet strap for clamping pressure. That's the best I can do. I won't let it sit up overnight. It's 30-minute epoxy, but I want to let it sit up overnight just to make sure. And it looks like I got a good glue joint all the way around. We shall see. The things we go through to save a project. Yeah, but some are worth saving. Okay, now this is all securely taped in place. I don't think the resin's going to run down much below the tape, if at all. Okay, that should work. Now let's go fill it. I hope this is enough. Ooh boy, looky there. I got lucky with my guesstimation measurement again. That's just exactly what I needed. Now, as long as we don't spring any leaks, we're in good shape. All right, now we'll let this cure for 2 days before we put it back on the lathe. I'm getting there. I'm going to shoot it inside and out with clear lacquer and let it dry, and then buff it out as necessary. I'll come back after I get a couple of coats of lacquer on it. So here it is, all done. Got my logo burned in the bottom. It's all finished. Pretty piece of Cocobolo, absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous piece of cocoa. This is just amazing. And you can't really tell. If you look real close, you can find where it came apart in some places, but in others you can't see the seam at all. So I'm very happy with that. So I appreciate y'all staying with me, even though we had a bit of a fiasco and a small disaster, but we overcame it, and that's the important thing. Just, unless it's absolutely inevitable, don't give up. That's the lesson. So thanks Rich, thanks Doug for the pieces. I hope I did them some justice. Again, check out those guys. They're good dudes. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, all that social media stuff. If you would like to help support the Messy Studio in any way, I have an Amazon affiliate link down below. Anything you buy using that link, I get a few pennies for. It doesn't cost you any more. The prices are the same. It just helps me out a little bit, and I appreciate that. You can also go to my website right here, acdcreations.com, and order swag, t-shirts, coffee cups, Messy Studio t-shirts and coffee cups, or some of the things that I've turned. There's things on there that you can buy, and I'll have some pins up pretty quick. Again, I really appreciate it. You never know what's going to happen here. Up next, I don't know which of the videos I'm going to finish first. I'm working on a natural edge blackjack oak piece that's about 10 inches across. It's a pretty big chunk of wood. And I've also started a resin scrap bowl. So one of those will be coming down pretty quick. They're actually both pretty quick, but I don't know which one's going to get finished first. So y'all stay with me and we'll see what happens. I appreciate you watching. I really do, folks. Y'all come back.